What's up, guys? By now you probably know that I have my hands on the brand new HTC One M8. Now before I begin, this is not a review video. Instead, this is a video of my experience. So with that being said, let's get started. Now before I begin, I'm going to let you know that I am not a fan of HTC at all. So that says a lot because I really love this phone. Now you're probably asking, why don't you like HTC? And I don't really want to get too much into that. Let's talk more about why I didn't really care too much about the original HTC One M7. If you guys watch my video, and it will be the very first link down below, the HTC One, the M7 version versus the Oppo Find 5, a lot of the reasons why I didn't like the original HTC One, not that it was a bad phone, it just wasn't a phone for me. If you guys go watch that video, you'll understand why I really didn't care about the new HTC One M8. In fact, if you guys follow me on social networks, when a lot of the buzz was happening about this phone, I didn't even tweet about it. I didn't even care about it. But when I went to my local T-Mobile store when the phone was released, boy, was I wrong. After spending about a minute, I knew that I was going to buy this phone because a lot of the things that I did not like about the original HTC One, I almost felt like HTC watched that video and fixed those problems. I looked at the phone and I said, wow, this is a completely different phone. Even though it looks the same and the footprint is pretty much about the same. You got the front-facing speakers and overall the design is pretty much almost identical to the original. A lot of the quality, the build quality, the way things are, the way it feels has completely changed. And again, I knew that I was going to buy this phone and give it another chance. So I went home, bought the phone. Long story short, it has, of course, this is the T-Mobile variant, so it has the Sense on it. And many of you guys know that I'm not a fan of Sense. Now, there's nothing wrong if you like Sense or if you like Samsung's TouchWiz. To each their own. That's the beauty of Android. There's no such thing as one size fits all. But for me, I'm not a fan of overlays on top of Android, but I decided to give it a shot. And a lot of this is T-Mobile's fault because they add so much bloatware. 5 minutes into it, I wanted to skip everything just to be able to play with the phone, and it literally felt like it took 5 minutes to bypass everything, including my Google account. I just wanted to skip everything, and it was so overwhelming that there was a lot of services that I had to, or not had to, but they were wanting me to sign up. For example, Lookout Security and just a whole bunch of things. And I'll tell you what, if somebody was coming from an iPhone and this was their first Android phone, I would be overwhelmed. Again, long story short, after I bypassed everything, I wanted to give Sense a try. Using it for a couple minutes, I literally wanted to return the phone. I'm not a fan of Sense. Again, if you guys like it, good for you. That's great. I'm not a fan of it. So I was literally getting ready to return the phone when I decided to go to the XDA developer forums. Long story short, again, I flashed the official Google Play Edition ROM onto this. So basically there's two versions. There's the regular version, or you can buy the Google Play Edition, which costs like $50 more. If you don't have to do anything that I did, like flashing, it just comes that way. So the only drawback is they don't have this color, and I'm a huge fan of this color. So if you're like me and you want this color or the gold one, you're gonna have to take matters into your own hands if you want the Google Play Edition. Once I flashed that, it was amazing. The experience coming from a Nexus device to this was natural. It almost felt like I was using a super Nexus. Now, a lot of the questions I get is, well, aren't you going to lose all of these Sense features that are on this phone? And a lot of you guys probably know that Sense or HTC added a lot of features, like, for example, double tap to wake. There's a lot of things where you can rotate the phone to access the camera. And let me tell you that everything that Sense, all of the additional features that work with the hardware also were implemented into the software on the Google Play Edition. So inside the phone settings, you'll find a new menu called Motion Launch Gestures, which basically gives you all of the features that I was mentioning of HTC Sense onto the Google Play Edition. For example, as I was saying before, the double tap to wake. You can also swipe to unlock. So because this phone's a little bit taller, it is convenient to be able to do that. You can also rotate the phone to landscape, push one of the volume buttons, and it will also launch the camera. And of course, probably one of the features that everybody's talking about is the camera depth of field. I call it depth of field because it's sort of the tap to focus. So that's one of the features that's also implemented in here so that it does take advantage of the dual cameras in the back. So you take a picture of your subject or whatever it is that you're taking a picture of, you tap to focus, and it works identical. So what makes this phone so great? So as I mentioned before, the build quality on this device is just outstanding. The front-facing speakers, which I know the original HTC One M7 already had, and I'm still surprised that no other manufacturer has taken this step to move forward with phones with front-facing speakers. They say that it's 25% louder. It feels more like 35, maybe even 40% louder, at least for me. It is pretty much outstanding to watch a YouTube video. It makes you want to use your phone more. It's going to be very hard for me to switch to a phone that does not have front-facing speakers, especially because they did it right this time as opposed to the first time. The other thing I like about this phone is the LTE radios on this, at least in my area, have been very, very good. A lot better than my Nexus 5, and I'm getting about 30-40 down and about 20-30 up. And full strength almost everywhere I go, so that is a huge plus, especially if you're on the road. You don't want to have slow data speed. So for whatever reason, the radios on my phone in my area have been really good. This also comes with an IR blaster, so being able to control your television and all that is a nice bonus to have. Micro SD card support, so if you are one of those people, for me, I don't really care about that, but it's nice to have. Up to 128 gigabytes, you can pop a card in there, and for whatever reason you want to put movies, storage, or add more, movies, add more to your storage of 32 already built into the phone. Nice thing to have. Also, battery life. HTC One, the M7, was really good. I had no complaints there, especially if you guys saw on my overview video. I used to get 5 hours battery life. The same could be said about this phone. Outstanding, no complaints. So you don't have to worry about that. Even though it does not have a removable battery, I don't really care because it'll last me the whole entire day with medium to even some hardcore use. Now, what are some of the complaints I have about the phone? Because as you know, no phone out there is perfect. Well, for one, it's very slippery in the hands. So if you have hands that are sweaty, you probably want to stay away from this phone, or at least add a case if you really like this phone. Yeah, matter of fact, I had it in my pocket and I was laying in my couch and it actually slipped off. So that's kind of dangerous if you're sitting somewhere. Be careful. Phone might slip off. So that was a huge turn off. So I might end up adding a case to this, which I don't really want to because this phone looks, it looks awesome. The other thing that you guys probably hear is about the camera. Now, to me, the camera is not that it takes bad pictures, it's the megapixel count. And I don't care what people say, megapixels do matter. You obviously want to have a higher megapixel because you have more room to crop and improve the picture versus a 4 megapixel image is just basically at 100% is what you're going to get. The quality is good, it's just the megapixel count. And I'm surprised that HTC is so stubborn on promoting that ultra 4 megapixel because frankly, yes, it does take good pictures at low light, but what good is a low megapixel picture when you try to print it or blow it up? It's just not going to look that great. So again, the camera, as I've said before, it's not going to win any awards. I'm glad that cell phones have camera, and I'm not going to buy a cell phone because of a camera, just like I wouldn't buy a camera to make phone calls. Just doesn't make any sense. So aside from those little small things, I'd say for me, my experience, this is 90% of what I'm looking for in a smartphone. Therefore, it is hands down my favorite Android phone to date. As of filming this video. It's also going to be the phone that I'm probably going to be using for the rest of the remaining year unless something outstanding comes out there, which I have yet to see. The only one out there that has my attention is the One Plus. So we'll see what happens in a couple of days if I'm going to buy that phone, but it's going to be very difficult, especially front-facing speakers. So anyhow, guys, I hope you enjoyed the the overview experience video. If you guys have questions about the phone, leave your comments down below. I'll be sure to answer most of your questions. I know I can't answer everybody's questions out there, but let me know. Other than that, I highly recommend this phone. Even if you don't like Sense, get the Google Play Edition. If you want to ROM it yourself, you can do that. If you don't want to tinker with it, just buy it directly. You're going to pay $50 more, but it's definitely worth. Tell you what, if I didn't have the experience to do that, I would pay the $50 to get the Google Play Edition if that's what you like. If Sense doesn't bother you and if you like it, again, highly recommend this phone. Although I'd probably go with the developer edition just because I don't like the bloatware. So if I were up to you, if you wanted the Sense version, but the non-bloated version, I'd go and get the developer edition because at least it comes with an unlocked bootloader and it doesn't come with all the additional garbage that these phone carriers put into it. But anyhow, guys, once again, thanks for watching the video. If you guys did like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and reshare with your friends. Until next time, adios.